We're here at Church of the City in Spring Hill, Tennessee with J.R. Benton. J.R., what's your official title here?
Yeah, my title is Director of Production, which basically means that I get to oversee pretty much the entire live service experience. So whereas more usual Director of Productions would just oversee production, I'm helping the worship team as well, just kind of bring both of those worlds together for the betterment of the entire service.
Okay, so do you have a pastor here? You have a youth pastor?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a small groups pastor?
Yeah.
Do you have a children's pastor?
Yes.
Yet you're the director of production.
Yeah.
Does that mean you don't have to pastor?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is an extremely common reality, and there's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just the way that church titles exist these days. Yeah. There are very few pastors of production. There are some out there, but most churches have a production director, a tech director, like usually director coordinators in the title. But does that preclude you from pastoring people? Talk to us about what you intentionally do, ignoring the fact that there's not a pastor in your title.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, one, just right off the bat, as Christ followers, and not to just go too far in the over spiritual direction, but as Christ followers, we all have a generic calling, make disciples, all of that. I think we all can agree on that. Then aside from that, I mean, taking sort of what you feel to be your calling, your assignment from the Lord, like for me, I think is to serve and love his people through the medium of production, through whatever that might be. And so having that sort of a calling really just unlocks for me to go, okay, wait a second. So I can excel in the technical. I can be up to date on all of the gear, the current trends, all of that sort of stuff. But there's also this greater area that I feel like the Lord wants to use this medium through of, hey, there are other people who are like-minded like this, other people who may be more introverted or might not, be someone to come down to the altar or, and so whereas they might not be getting pastored in those other areas, it's almost like God has called us as production directors to pastor those people who might not enter in through the normal way, essentially.
Yeah. I'm thinking so production people can often be very detailed oriented, which is why they're great at their job. And I'm thinking of the scene in the movie where Tom Cruise, he plays a pilot, and he's just checklist over and over every single flight. And so he has this clipboard, he's just like, number 1, number 2, number 3. And I think often we can get in that mindset of you show up on Sunday morning, here's your checklist. Like, get moving, we got fires to put out, we got stage to set up. How do you intentionally not just hand a checklist and just start with the mode of I want to pastor you, disciple you, number 1, when you arrive on Sunday mornings?
Yeah. Well, I think even just to backtrack from Sunday, I think it has to start during the week. In your communication, people get a planning center request, they'll get a reminder a couple of days before about serving. But then before that, I don't just let Planning Center do the talking to my team for me. I'm always going to, usually on Thursday or even on Saturday night, just send a reminder to the team. One, it just brings some community to everyone. If you can join everyone on your team, depending on the scale and the size, some people might not like texting, that sort of direct conversation. But one, I think that's a great moment just to speak into hey guys, just reminding you about service tomorrow. Here's the crew that's on, here's who's speaking. Here's the vision and the goal for the Sunday. I think one just says a lot to kind of almost preemptively set that table. And then again, as production people, focusing on the details. And if you can do all of your programming, all of the heavy lifting of the Sunday during the week, then that just frees you up on Sunday morning to do more of the pastoring and being with your people. So that way you're not, I'm having to adjust this lighting cue during rehearsal. I've already done that during the week. So that way I can actually just sit with my presenter op and talk casually and just build that relationship.
So again, a lot of production people are naturally introverts. That's why they're drawn to production, work behind the scenes, support ministry. And the fact that there's not pastor in their title, they're like, that's great, because pastoring feels like there's a lot of that mushy, emotional, human interaction stuff. What are just some simple ways in which you can break down those walls as production people and just enter into those conversations as that pastoral care without thinking, I've got to do a counseling session now? What are just some simple break down the walls kind of approaches?
Yeah. Well, one, I think just to dispel the myth, I think it's a lot easier than we think that it is oftentimes. People, I feel like across my career doing church production, something that I've noticed is that man, people just want a team to belong to and a cause to champion. And so if we can provide both of those things, cast the vision, also just be someone to wrap an arm around them. And honestly, it doesn't mean that you have to have all of the answers. If someone is, going through a hard time, maybe their kids acting up, maybe they've gone off to college and they've got that grief in the home, or maybe they're even walking through something harder like a divorce. Just to dispel, like, you do not have to possess and hold all of the answers. All you simply need to do sometimes is just give the ministry of presence. So it's simply just being a lending ear to listen to whatever they may be going through. And entering into that can be just as simple as, hey, Ryan, I noticed, I felt like you were a little bit off today. Is there anything that I can be praying for you about? Just that simple prompt right there can then just enter into the conversation. And again, you don't have to have all the answers. Oftentimes people just want an outlet, just a safe person to talk to.
Yeah. What are some of the minimum amounts of information that you seek to know about your people? Like, I assume you know their name.
Yeah.
Maybe you know their spouse's name, their kids' names. Maybe you know their favorite snacks. Like, do you have, your top 5 of minimum information you seek to know about all your people?
Yeah. So for sure, I think I have, so I utilize a piece of software called Notion, which is kind of like an Evernote, Microsoft Word, like a basic software of like project management. And so within that, I have what I call a volunteer central base. So alongside Planning Center, Planning Center's got your full roster. I have sort of a duplicate roster within that. So that way I can input some more of that personal information. So that way, hey, if I'm entering into a coffee or a lunch or even a difficult conversation with a volunteer, I can actually go and refresh myself on, hey, you know what? His daughter, Abby, just left for college. Maybe that's why he's a little irritable these days. Or maybe that's why, or hey, this is his favorite thing. I want to really spoil him and like support him and shower him with praise and affection. So I think just going that extra layer of care really says a lot for you as a production director, and just knowing your people. I mean, honestly, the people that are on your team are people that the Lord has guided to you for you to steward and to love and to care for. So I think just fully like knowing that gives a lot of freedom to go, you know what? This is my calling. These people are here with me for a reason. Let me step into that and try to love and pastor them the best that I can.
Yeah. And I love that you talked about your software. So let's remove the stigma of you can't use technology to help you pastor people.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we hopefully know what's going on inside our own families. Yes. Our wife, our kids, our very best friends. But as you get, like, how many volunteers holistically are part of your team here?
Yeah, so for production, we have probably 25 to 28 across. That's screen graphics, camera ops, video directors, front of house, audio, stage managers, all of that. And we try to keep everyone sort of like cross-trained as well, so that way we can fill those holes. But yeah, I think, one, it's okay to accept the help of, we're living in 2025. There are so many great tools out there. You don't have to feel like you have to have everything memorized, or you've got, the sticky note on your hand or the Rolodex, and just to know that, hey, it's okay. Like, it's pretty impossible for me to know like the intricate details of 25 different individuals on my team. I try to know the core as much as I can, their like what they do for a living, things that they enjoy. But as far as the other second layer details, just utilizing a tool is so helpful, and just knowing that. And again, accepting that help just makes you a better leader to your team.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, maybe, Steve's daughter just left for college. And so even taking 5 minutes on Saturday or early Sunday morning, just refresh yourself on who's coming in that morning. What are some life details that maybe I could speak into, that if Steve walks in and you said, hey, how is your daughter doing at college? Immediately his guard is down. Yeah. Because he's like, oh my gosh, you remembered. How did you remember? And you're holding the secret, like you check the software, but there's nothing wrong with it. That's so much better than Steve being like, why don't you even ask about my daughter?
Yes, totally, 100%. Or say you go out to a lunch and you ask them, again, just another question. And they're like, hey, well, like, we already talked about this 2 weeks ago. Did you forget? And it's like, oh man, like I've done that before. And that just does not feel great, And honestly, what it does, it gives you a leg up even as you're scheduling team members together. Like, I think about some of the people on my team that have actually been introduced to each other serving on different Sundays, that are now actually a part of a community group, or even a part of like my men's cohort that I lead. And so just even like the more that you know about each of your team members helps you to even pair them alongside each other to go, hey, you know what? They could probably use some community in their life. And I think Brandon would be a really great friend to him. Let me try to like buddy them up together, So yeah.
And I think also, like, we might get overwhelmed by thinking, like, I am a technically minded, I'm a detail minded person, I'm just not good at this stuff. There's also nothing wrong with recruiting a volunteer to your team that's great at this stuff.
Yes.
That maybe says, I don't know about a lot of technology, I'm not very good with, audio or video, but I know how to love people. Oh, great. Can I get you on my team to then help me love people? Like, that's your whole job. It's just to serve the other people on the team. Have you ever tried that intentionally?
No, I mean, I've kind of just naturally filled that role, but I have had high capacity volunteers who have hopped in to do that just on their own initiative, which I think is honestly the best feeling in the world. You know, whenever you have someone, even take shadowing, if you're onboarding someone new to your team, you schedule them to come in to shadow for a Sunday, and if you compare them with a veteran who is a high capacity, somewhat outgoing, they don't have to be super extrovert, but someone who you can just even, you walk them through the basics, give them a high level overview, and then you pair them with Steve on ProPresenter, who's been doing it for 3 years and who very detail oriented, but is good with people, communication. Steve lights up people to take someone under his wing, and then you almost walk away, see them do their thing, and it's like, this is amazing, this is beautiful, because then, I mean, it's kind of multi-layered, but then you are not stretched so thin and doing all of the training, all of the everything. Yes, the expectation is for you and the responsibility to ensure that's happening, but the more that you can empower your people to do the recruiting and training and team building alongside you, man, that just goes so far. So,
I think it's super important as well to think of a camera and then the person holding the camera, let's call her Cindy, that she is not an extension of the technology. She's not an accessory that you're adding onto the camera. She is a child of God, a human being that is created in the image of God. The camera is technology. But we often kind of forget that and view the volunteer as just an extension of the technology. If you view it that way, you're going to cycle through volunteers real fast. But if you pastor them like children of God, you're going to, like, how long has your longest volunteer been faithfully committed to serving here?
Yeah, man. Well, so October 10th will be 4 years that I've been on staff here. And I've had team members that were here before me that I came into and kind of inherited the team. I think that just comes from just trying to be intentional about, again, seeing them more as a person. Like, man, before you touch a camera, before you touch a console, before you EQ anything, I want to know, like, how's your heart? Like, how was your week? How did that job interview go that you had, And I think that just goes so far because, again, people are feeling that community before we're just asking them to fill a role or to just hop in the seat to do something, If we can appeal to people's need for community, man, that just goes so far in our teams.
And I know there's this distinction. You do production out in the world, you work for a television broadcast or sports, and everybody is a hired contractor or on staff. Like, that is work, that is a job. But if you are stepping into the doors of a church and leading production, whether you have a pastor in your title or not, you are now pastoring people.
Yeah, for sure. And I would even say and just encourage you to think about what strengths God has given you, what gifts that you have innately in your person. If that's not teaching, if that's not speaking, if that's not being super outgoing and relational, don't necessarily try to lean into that as your first thing. I mean, but you can lean into that as a growth edge to grow into over time. But I think look at what gifts God has given you and then how those can come alongside the people that he has given you for the time that you're in, for the season that you're in. And that just goes so far.
Awesome. Thanks, JR.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Hey, thanks so much for watching that video. We know how difficult it is to keep Sundays running at your church, and we know a lot of it is about the gear. So we want to give you an exclusive 5% additional off anything, even if we're running a sale. Additional 5% off, grab the code in the video description below.